Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Matt. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about why real estate and homes are so expensive in Canada and what you should do about it if you can't afford one. The average cost of a home now in Canada has reached $517,000 approximately as of December 2019, so last month, as it's now 2020. Now this amount is quite a lot, but even if you look at the most expensive areas in Canada, particularly Toronto and Vancouver, it gets even more crazy. In order to afford a home in Vancouver, you would need a household income of $238,000. And in Toronto, you would need $159,000 to be comfortable. And these numbers just keep going up. That's the crazy thing. The average house price in Toronto is $894,000 right now. And in Vancouver, it is $1.1 million. That's just the average house price. Now, obviously, this isn't the case across the entire country. You could definitely go to smaller cities or less expensive markets, for example, like Winnipeg or Montreal. However, I think the growth of Toronto and Vancouver specifically have made the entire market just continue to climb. But why is it specifically happening in those two cities? Why Toronto and Vancouver? Now, there are a lot of factors to why real estate can go up in particular markets, but we're going to dive into a few reasons why real estate is getting so expensive in these key markets. Now, the first kind of factor to look at is job opportunities and growth. These job opportunities make Toronto and Vancouver a lot more desirable and honestly comparable to cities in the United States like Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco. Toronto is exploding not only in business and commerce, but culture, food, and so many different things. The amount of companies that are coming into Toronto to start offices and hire people are just growing and growing and growing. And it definitely looks like it's not going to slow down anytime soon. This means there are going to be more opportunities for jobs, so people are naturally going to want to move closer to where these jobs are. Now, I'm sure Vancouver is also experiencing some crazy growth in terms of job opportunities and stuff like that, but I'm personally not in a position to comment as I live in Toronto and I don't know the Vancouver market that well. But again, Toronto and Vancouver seem to be turning into major world cities, and in turn people are willing to pay extremely high prices to live in these hubs, just like in those American cities. Now, specifically looking at Toronto and Vancouver, there has been a ton of foreign buyers coming in, foreign investors coming in to buy new real estate. Now, this has definitely had an impact as the government had to actually place a foreign buyers tax of 15% on any residential real estate bought in and around Toronto. They definitely wanted to slow down the amount of people that were flying in and actually buying up property. Now, I personally think foreign investors can be a good thing, but also a bad thing. Now, it's great because Canada is such a diverse country. It's definitely one of our strengths. And of course, Canada is willing to open up our arms and be very friendly and welcome people into buying property and moving here. But on the other hand, you have people who, let's say, are born in Canada, who grew up or now graduating college, starting their jobs, and they really want to buy a home in these markets, but they're already getting priced out immediately and they have no chance to even get in the market. And I can give you my own personal example. There is no way I can afford to buy in Toronto right now. The future, who knows, but right now it's just way too expensive. That's why I chose to rent in Toronto, because specifically looking at renting and buying in Toronto, it is a lot cheaper to rent right now. So what this is doing is it's forcing people to move outside of the city into smaller markets, or actually to move to different cities across Canada, maybe to move to the west, to Alberta, where a lot of people are moving. The next key reason why I think, real estate in Canada is going up so much is because of speculation. Canadian real estate has been on news outlets and it's been catching headlines all across the world, as of course Toronto and Vancouver are becoming these world-class hub cities, and in turn it's making the demand so incredibly high. It's actually gotten so high that builders are scrambling to fill this demand, and they're trying to build units and buildings as quick as possible. It's also gotten to the point where the market is just so high and there's so much confidence in the market that people think it'll never come down, which in general is not a good investing mindset to have, because generally what goes up must come down, especially in investing. Things do not go up forever. And although nobody knows what will happen and when markets will correct or go down, it is completely out of anybody's vision or control. Although I think right now, especially in key markets like Toronto and Vancouver, people keep filing in and keep filling in because they think they're going to miss their opportunity to buy, so they keep on coming in. This creates a bubble type effect on the market, and then you get to a point where prices more than double in just 10 years. So what about immigration? So immigration can certainly be be another reason why real estate prices are so expensive right now. Canada is an immigrant nation. My parents and grandparents were immigrants, and they came to this country to start a new life with new opportunities, and that's honestly what Canada and the United States are known for. So as of right now, Canada is actually predicted to be welcoming 350,000 immigrants by 2021. Canada, and especially Toronto and Vancouver, have consistently ranked really high on the best places to live in the world, and that is certainly be a factor why people are choosing to immigrate to these key markets rather than different countries. Canada is a place where people want to move, that is clear. And it also makes a lot of sense that if people move to Canada, they'll naturally go to the two biggest cities and the two biggest markets where all the opportunities are. And the last big reason I think why real estate is so expensive in Canada particularly is because of our banking system. Canadian banks are some of the best businesses in the world. The big five banks are globally known and are actually included in a lot of portfolios around the world. They're actually recognized as some of the strongest banks on the planet. They pay healthy dividends and they've grown consistently over the decades, so they're generally seen as a great investment. In 2008, Canadian house prices barely dropped before recovering shortly after the United States housing market plummeted. So I think it's safe to say that the regulations that these Canadian banks had in place, and also the government, allowed prices to not plummet significantly back in 2008. But now when you truthfully look back at it, there hasn't been a serious correction in more than 10 years. You could definitely look at the Canadian banks as a big part of this, as because of they're the one financing all the property. So at the end of the day, what should you do if you cannot afford to buy a house in Canada? Well, bottom line, you should first of all not buy a house that's too big for you, or buy too much house, because no matter what, even if the market goes up, down, you don't want to have something that's just completely too expensive than what you can actually afford. So generally what you should stick with is about 3 to 5 times your household income. So just you or you and your partner, you can take your yearly income, multiply it by 3, and this is generally what you want to look for in a house price. So meaning, for example, if you and your partner make $100,000 per year, you should look for a home that's about $300,000 to about $500,000 at the high end of where you should be looking. This way you'll be comfortable on the actual mortgage payments you make, and you won't be over consuming on housing. And if you can't find housing in your area, move. Find another market or another area that's more affordable for you. Or even consider renting in that more expensive area. And don't look at it as I'm throwing money away. It's a complete myth. Don't listen to that. You'll be saving on taxes, you'll be saving on maintenance, mortgage insurance. Trust me, it's cheaper to rent than buy. And then if you're smart about what you're doing with your money, you can invest the rest and grow your wealth at the same time. It will cost you money to live somewhere regardless if you buy or rent. And the other answer to that is just to continue saving and wait for an opportunity to buy. Look in other areas that could perhaps have better values than where you're looking. If you follow this advice, you should be okay. And of course, again, nobody knows what will happen with Canadian real estate prices. They could keep climbing for 10 years. They could drop this year. They could drop next year. I'm not predicting anything with this video. All I'm saying is that you have to look at your current situation, and perhaps you might have to move a little further away. You might have to rent, but just know that there's always a solution to the problem here. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please smash the like button. It helps the channel out a lot. Helps me push these videos to a new audience that hasn't seen these videos before. So again, I'd really appreciate it. And of course, subscribe for more investing and personal finance videos. Until the next one, guys, take care.